All right, so you are welcome to the tutorial aspect of how to prepare the journals, the cash book, and develop them into the ledgers and into a trial balance. All right, so we have a question, Kakraba. All right, so we have Kakraba commenced business on 1st January 2014, but did not keep proper books of account. So on 31st December 2014, you have been given his assets and liabilities. So the accounting equation, do you remember? What is the accounting equation? Asset is equal to capital plus liability. All right, so keep this in mind. All right, and we also have the following transactions here that took place in January 2015. So if this is December 2014 and this is January 2015, and we are preparing this transaction, then it means that for this one to be in 2014 and this one to be, so this will be closing balance for 2014 and at the same time opening balances for what? 2015. All right, so basically that is that. Sold goods on credit to Brimer. Where will it go? Which of the day books? Because we are supposed to show the opening journal, we are supposed to enter the transactions into the appropriate books of account and post them to the ledger. When we finish, I will make sure that we also post it into we complete it with the trial balance, because that's the only way we know that the work we'll be doing is correct or not, if it balances. All right. So that is that. So now we have this information for the opening. All right. Then it says sold goods to Brimer. Which journal? Sales, right? Because it sold goods on credit to Brimer. Receive check 1.8 from Mensa. I think Mensa is here. So check which one? The book, with the book, the cash book, right? Paid rent by check, which one? Cash book. Brimer paid his account in full by check, which one? Cash book. And corresponding entry will be in Brimer, right? Take note of that. Then we have sold goods for cash, 1.5. So where? Cash book, corresponding entry. There we can put it in the sales account. All right, so that is that. So if we were looking at goods and cash, we will be reducing our goods and we will be increasing our cash. So that is that. Paid cash into the bank. So this one, pay the cash into the bank. So it will be a contra entry. Is that not it? We have cash purchases, credit purchases from Judith. All right, which one? Purchases day book, right? Paid wages by check. Which one? Cash book. Pay Judith by check, the balance due her less 10% cash discount, which means that we have to open a 3-column cash book. Kofi paid his money in full, less 20% cash discount. So we paid at one point. A customer also paid us. So one is discount received and the other one is discount what allowed. Cash sales paid directly into bank. This is the one we are talking about. So you will treat it as if it is what? Just a bank payment. All right. We have credit purchases from Judith. All right. Then the last one is paid wages. So we are going to first use the journal, the general journal. Remember, one of the functions of the general journal is what we call opening balances. So we are doing this in whose book? Which company is this? We have Kakraba. So in the books of Kakraba, so I can write it like this. In the books of Kakraba. All right. So in the books of Kakraba, we are doing the general journal to know the opening balance. Don't forget our accounting equation. How does the general journal look like? It looks like a trial balance. All right. So we have here the debit side, right? And this is the credit side. We have details or particulars. Then you put your currency sign there. Given that there are plenty zeros here, let's put 000 at the top. 00 at the top. So we'll be recording this up to here without adding the 00. This place is for date, but because we are using it to prepare opening balance, we don't need to put date on each one of them like that. So it's 2015 and we have January 1. All right, so now let's list them. Equipment, debit or credit? Equipment is an asset, right? Debit balance. So right there, you write your 12,000. I've already put the 3 zeros here, so don't need to do that. What is next? Furniture, debit or credit? All these are examples of assets. So you have 7,200. All right. Then what else? Debtors. They are also part of the assets. So I told you guys to learn the examples of assets, right? So we have Akosia, which is 1.2, if I see clearly. Then we have Mensa, whose own is 2,400, right? Then we have stock in trade. What is that? These are goods, stock in trade. All right. So how much is that one? Also an asset, right? So 5,400. Then we have bank overdraft. Which one is that? Do you remember what we said? Do you remember? Bank overdraft. Debit or credit? Yes, credit. You remember correctly. So you have 3,000 here. So then we continue. Make sure these are journals. It must balance. Okay, it must balance. Then we have what do we call it? Creditors. Okay. Creditors, what do we have? We have Judith. We have Kofi. So what are their figures? We have 1, 5, then we have 900. Then there is cash. That is 2,400. So we now need to balance it off. So you see, you have assets, you have liabilities. What don't you have? Capital. So if this thing is not balancing, you should know what is not making it balancing. It means that the guy has not recorded something which you are supposed to record for him. So basically that is that. Now, so this is being the narration will be being opening balances for 2025. That's all. So let's do the addition. So I have here 12,000 plus 7,200 plus 1,200 plus 2,400 plus 5,400 plus 2,400 again. All right, so that's that. So when I total, I have 3,600. If I check this side, so minus 3,000 minus 1,005 minus 900, I have 25,200. So that means that this side is short by 25,200 to make this side balance to 3,600. What figure then is this? You now remember your accounting equation? That will be my capital. Because you have assets in the opening balances. You have liability in the opening balances. It is not balancing. So you see that what is left is what? The capital. So you have used that to complete the accounting equation. So that is the trick you must know. Is that okay? All right. So that solves this part, which means that if I open this account, furniture account, I must have an opening balance. If I open equipment account, I must have opening balance. Debtors account, I must have opening balance, and all those ones and all those. These are the things you see. All right. So now we need to also do the following transaction. So the first one we are supposed to do the journals. Later on, we will post it into the ledgers. So I'll open my sales day book or sales journal. All right. Sales day book or sales journal. You remember how you do your journal, right? So you have date, details. Of course, you can choose to put in details or particulars. You can choose to put in a ledger folio or a reference for the invoice numbers, but we don't have any of such in the question. So you can decide to ignore those ones. All right. Even this line, it looks big because I want to use it for the amount side. So I'll put in my Ghana cedi sign. I can put it here. All right. I can as well put it here. So wherever you want to put it, okay, that's fine. Anywhere you want to put it. Okay, so we know that we are doing this thing in 2015, so I'll put my 2015 there. Is that okay? Then, if there is a need to do, as you saw in there, that there was also credit purchases, so you need to also open purchases day book, right? Purchases day book. So I have my date, I have my particulars, then I have my amount, which I will put in with 3 zeros. So that is that. Some people put particulars and details and they will do some form of calculation there, all right, before they write the figure into the amount. So we have these two. Okay, so let's do the first one. So January 1, so here put 2015 there. So here I have January 1. What happened? I sold to I sold goods to Brima. So you remember how we used to do it. So here will be Brima. All right. And what happened? So we sold goods. Okay, so Brima and the goods, how much is that on credit to Brima? So if there is anything that you see, so sale of goods to Brima, that will be your narration. So we all know this is sales and it is goods to Brima. So you can also do Brima semicolon goods. And how much is that? You see, this thing is big, right? You can control it by reducing it. So how much is that? That is 3,600. Don't forget, I've already put 3 zeros at the top. Don't forget that. All right. Okay, so that is that. So we will later transfer all of this thing into the sales ledger. So for example, if I open my sales ledger, a book, my sales ledger, don't forget I've explained what a ledger is to you. A ledger is the book. But inside the sales ledger, I will have someone like Brima, an account for Brima. So you do the T account for Brima. So that is that. So you put in here, because you'll be transferring the thing from the sales table to the ledger. So if you look at Brima, what do you see? You will see Brima. Brima is not in the list here, so it won't have any opening balance. But when you see Brima, we have sold to Brima on credit. So Brima becomes a debtor. So we will start the double entry for Brima. So here we will say January 1. All right, so this is 2015. What did we do with Brima? There was a credit sale. And how much was that? So 3,600. Now, what is the corresponding entry for this figure? Because this is where double entry starts in the ledger. What will be the corresponding entry? Yes, your guess is as good as mine. It will go to the sales account. So in the general ledger, so let's call this in the general ledger. That is why some put folio into their drawing. So in the general ledger, there will be what? A sales account. Sales account. Now, inside the sales account, what did you do to Brimer? You debited Brimer's account. So inside the sales account, what will we do? You credit. So that is like a January 1 transaction. We have Brimer. Somebody can decide to also bulk everything up in the journal and splash it into the sales account. You can also do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But we are learning. We need to take it piece by piece. So you see one transaction. The journal is just a one entry, but the main thing in the ledger, there is debit and credit. So when you are doing anything in a ledger, to every debit there is a corresponding word credit. So here we have Brimer is 3,600. Have you seen that? That is it. So you'll be opening the accounts. You have to be fast, okay? You have to be very, very fast. Understand the double entry and be fast. Receive check from Mensa. Who is Mensa? Mensa is a debtor. So Mensa should be in our sales ledger, right? So here in our sales ledger, we will also have Mensa. Mensa. Now don't forget, Mensa has an opening balance. So we will have to have Mensa's opening balance. Is that not it? So we have balance brought down. So we are having 2015, right? Balance brought down. Mensa has a balance. How much is his balance already? 24. Is it 2,400? Yes, 2,400, not 24,000. 2,400. So that is what you have. Now, since Mensa, we have received check from Mensa, it means we will have to do this bank. What is the date? Date is January 2. So he paid us check. So that will be bank, and the figure there is 1,008. So have you seen that? So now it means we need to draw another one, which is what? Our cash book. So we know that from the readings that we did, we need to open a 3-column cash book. Is that not it? So let's open a 3-column cash book. So cash book. Don't forget, the cash book is also a ledger. So now you saw me post something into Mensa's account. Where would the corresponding entry be? So that is what we are trying to do. I hope I've divided it well, because we are doing a 3-column. So let me do column nicely so that I can have space. So let's corner this one for our discount, okay? Then the dates will somewhere be here. Zano. So you see how it's difficult. The space is small, eh? So let me draw it like this and rewrite my dates. Let me, so I'll now do this and know that here is my date, which we are doing in 2015. Details, discount allowed, cash, and bank. So I'll put my CD sign with my 3 zeros, CD sign with 3 zeros, CD sign, 3 zeros. Let me shift here small. Okay. So we draw for this side too, where you have dates. You have your detail. You have your discount received. Then you have cash and bank. So that is that. So you see, I've ignored the folio, right? So you can do same. So CD sign. All right. So now that we receive money from Mensa, which is on January 2, we just write Mensa. We received the check, so 1,800. So you see that in the Mensa's account, I have already recorded 1,200. But don't forget that before even we record Mensa into the cash book has some balance. Is that not it? Do you remember? The opening balance of the cash book, we transfer. So January 1, it has some balance here. And the bank too had a balance. So we have balance brought down inside the cash book of how much? Where is it? 2,400. So balance 2,400. Then balance, so the same 2015 January 1, there is also a balance brought down for the overdraft, which is where are you? That is 3. That is that. All right. So that is how you'll be opening it. Paid rent by check. So rent, which date is that? January 8th. Rent. Rent is an expense, right? So it will be in our general ledger. We paid by check. So this is 1,002. Where will the corresponding entry of this one go? So we will go to the general ledger, all right, and we will have a rent account. So that is how it works. Rent account, which you have your CD sign, then 2015 CD sign 2015. So as you have credited your cash book with the rent, you have to debit the rent account. So when did that happen? January 8th. So you will say bank. How much? 1,002. You have fulfilled the posting principle. Double entry is complete. That's it. Brahma paid his account in full by check. So it means that we are going to collect money from Brahma by a check of 3360. Now, what is Brahma? Where is Brahma? So 3360. What has happened? It is saying that Brahma paid his account in full by a check of 3360. Meaning that, this is the sales journal, sorry. Meaning that Brahma has paid everything. But when he was paying everything, he paid 3360. But Brahma is owing us how much? How much is Brahma owing us? 3,600. So if Brahma paid us by check in full, so which we will say here is our 2015, right? Which is January 10. He paid in full by check. So we have bank here. 3360. The question said he paid his account in full by check. What does that mean? You owe me 3,600. You are paying me in full by check, which is 3360. Guys, what do you see? It means that we have given Brahma some form of discount. Is that not it? Clearly. So here, you know that, you see, you don't need the question to tell you the word discount. If you have paid your account in full and you pay this money, then it means that there was a discount. So it means at the end of the day, Brahma will not be owing us anything. So that makes it 3,600 minus 3,360. That means that we gave Brahma a discount of what? 240. So this, what kind of discount is this? Discount what? Allowed. So you see that Brahma will not appear anymore because Brahma's account is closed. So it means for Brahma, he doesn't owe us. We don't owe Brahma anything. So the balance is closed. 3,600. Now, where will the corresponding entries of this one be going? So we are going to go into our cash book. So Brahma gave us money. Where is our cash book? So that is January 8th. Brahma. You see that? So Brahma gave us a check, and the check is 3360. 3360. We saw the discount. So the discount was what? 240. Bam. We are done. We will open an account for the discount as well in the general ledger. So when you go to the general ledger, you have something like a discount allowed. So in the general ledger, apart from the sales ledger, purchases ledger, any other thing goes into the general ledger. So something like the discount allowed. So you have a discount allowed account. Is it a debit balance or is it a credit balance? Obviously, a discount allowed is a debit balance. It is with the debtors, right? So you can put your 00s there. We are dealing in 2015. So who did we give the discount to? It is in our cash book. So our cash discount is given, and it is given to who? So that will be January 10. So we gave Brahma a discount, right? Of how much? 240. So ladies and gentlemen, that is how it works. All right. That is basically how it works. All right. So this account will be there. All right. Or you can let it be in the cash book because it's an account in the cash book. You understand? So basically that is that. Because it is in your cash book. So at the end of the day, when you total all your discount allowed, you know that it is at the debit side. All right. So then you take it to where you want to take it to. But it's good you do this. Now, sold goods for cash. This is cash sales. It doesn't go to the day books, right? So where will it go? You sold goods for cash. Where will it go? Cash book, right? So you are receiving 1,005 and it is cash sales, right? All right. So you will have which date is that? January 12, cash sales. Okay, so sales. How much is that? 1,005. It is a cash sales. So when you go to your sales account, so here, like this is what I was saying. You can wait and bulk all your credit sales together. So I'm going to do that. So here I will say cash sales. The date should be there. So you saw that, I think that was only the credit sale. So here I can just say credit sale instead of writing Brahma. I can wait and finish my sales day book. So this one, you can wait, finish everything in your sales day book. Then the total, you total it to the sales account. All right. So that is that. So I think the Brahma is the only person we did a credit sales to. So if that's the case, it means that if you check the question, we don't see any credit sales anymore. So you will total it and say 3,600. So you say transfer to sales account in the general ledger, so that we don't use the names inside. So if there were other people, you will be adding, then you add all the total. Then you take the total to the sales account. All right. You take all the total to the sales account. So instead of making it all about Brahma, I will be writing credit sales. Then the one that happened, cash sales, I'll write cash sales. All right. So that is that. So there is a cash sales here of how much? 1,005, right? So that's that. Anytime there is such, then it says paid cash of 900 into bank. So this is example of a contra entry. Is that not it? So what is happening? We are our cash. When is that date? 12, January 12. That is what is happening. So here is cash. the cash is going to our bank. So making, the cash is going to our bank, making our bank account go up. So that one is January 12 again. Okay. So you have cash that is being paid to bank, which is going to let your bank increase. All right. And your cash is reducing. So you write here bank, and your cash is reducing by 900. So you just have to be careful. So now this one, you don't need to go and open any other account. This is what we call a contra entry, right? So like a folio, a contra entry. That is it. Then we have credit cash purchases. So good. This one is calling us to make purchases account, right? So 13th. So we have purchases. How much is that? 300. So our cash will be reducing by 300. And we need to go and open a purchases account in the general ledger. So inside this general ledger, we have a purchases account. So quickly, purchases account. So your CD sign must be written. So you have CDs 2015 CDs. All right. So when did this happen? January 13th. You credited your cash book. The corresponding entry is what? So here you write cash and 300. The double entry is complete. To every debit, there's a credit. So you have to. Then the credit purchases from due date. Now, where does credit purchases go? Purchases day book. Is that not it? So you did purchases day book here. So January 15, you write due date. All right. And it is a purchase of, if they've given you goods or something, you write the particulars, whether it was goods or something. So you have 1,100, which means that if this is the only purchase on credit, I think there is another credit purchase here. So there's a credit purchase from due date here. There's even another credit purchase here. So you wait. All right. Now we come to paid wages by check. So you go to cash book, paid wages by check. Which date is that? 17th. Wages be paid by check. That is 300. So corresponding entry will go where? Wages in the general ledger. So we need to open wages in the general ledger. So wages, general ledger, 2015, and you have to write fast, okay? So you say January 17th, cash or bank. This one is the bank side. How much is that? 300. You have fulfilled double entry. Paid due date on this date. Paid due date by check. The balance due here, less 10% cash discount. So here too, you need to be very, very careful. Things are happening on date basis. Now, what you need to understand is that in the purchases ledger, right? When you do this, the purchases day book, the thing must go to the purchases ledger. So let's open the purchases ledger, for example, and let me show you something. So let's say purchases in the purchases ledger, where we keep the account of who? Keep the account of who? The creditors. You will have two creditors here. You have Judith. So you need to open account for Judith. So you have Judith account. Then the next person is Kofi, right? You have Kofi's account. So that is that. So open this thing. Open this one. Open this one. already they have some balances. So balance brought down, they have some balances. In the same vein, when you come to Mansa, there was another person called Akosua. So you have to open an account for Akosua. Okay, you have to open an account inside the sales ledger for Akosua. So because we need to do that, let me shift these ones like somewhere here. Okay, so let me shift the whole thing down here so that we will just drop in that of Akosua. All right. So let's draw that of Akosua inside the sales ledger. So Akosua. So you do that quickly. 2015, 2015. So January 1, we have the balance brought down of Akosua to be 1.2. Now watch this. When we come to Judith, the Judith balance is how much? 1,005. All right, it's 1,005. But there is a credit purchase from Judith again, which means that we need to do purchases. But please remember your date. Okay, so this is January 1. When did this happen? 15th of January. All right, so the purchases, how much is that? The credit purchases, we bought additional distance from here. All right, so take note of that. Then he said, pay Judith check of balance due her. That is why I did this. Because how much do we owe Judith? How much now? If you check, it is 1,005. We already owed her before the beginning of the year, and we have owed her additional 1,001. So meaning that we owe Judith 2,500. But he said paid this one less 10% cash discount, which means that we are going to get a cash discount of 10%, which is 250. So if you take this one minus 250, then it means we are having 2250. Take note of that. So when you go to the cash book and you are paying the Judith lady, so when you pay, you're actually paying 2,500, but you had a discount from that. So on 18th, January 18th, you put in here Judith. And you have a discount, which was 10% of the total of money due her as at the time. And here you are paying him here by check. So you have 2250 as the balance. So take note of that. Questions are tricky, eh? Yeah, so these are exams. All right, so take note of that. Now, we also have here Kofi paid Kofi by check in full, less 20% cash discount. How much are we owing Kofi as at 22nd? So that thing you did, you have to go to Judith's account and pay her everything as at that time. Okay. So when you come to Judith's account, for example, you know that there is this is 2015, and you pay Judith in January 2018, account in full, but the check or the bank was how much? 2250, and there was a discount received of how much? 10% of 250. So this is what happened. So if everything had ended here, you see that you don't owe Judith anything because you pay Judith her balance due her less 10%. All right. So that means that we need to even create something called discount received account. Basically, that is that. You need to create an account called discount received in the general ledger. So the same thing you have been doing. That's it. So you can create a discount received account. So 2015, what was the date? 18th, eh? So you have due date, and you put in there your 250. Okay, so that is how it works. That's how it works. All right. So now, what is left? Kofi paid Kofi by check, less 20% discount. How much do we owe Kofi? 900. So we are paying Kofi 900 less 20% trade discount. What is 20% of the 900? So 0.2 by 900 is 180. So here we will write, what is the date? 22, right? So we have Kofi. We are paying Kofi, but we are having a discount of 180. That is 20% on the 900. This 900 we owe Kofi. So if I take it from the 900, then it means how much I'm actually giving Kofi. What did we pay by check? So that will be 720, the difference. All right. So basically, this is it. So it means that when I go to the discount received column of my work and Kofi's account, I must clear it off because I have paid Kofi in full. So let's go to Kofi. So Kofi had a balance brought down for January 1, 2015 of 900. We have paid Kofi. And how did it happen? We paid Kofi on January 22 by bank of 720 and a discount received. All right, the discount we received from Kofi's account was 180. All right, so when you go to your discount received again, you will record Kofi 180. 180. That's all. Cash sales paid directly into bank. Do you remember how I said we should treat it a one-time transaction? So cash sales paid directly into bank. So when we go to your cash book, you just write cash sales. So what date is that? 27. So sales. How much is that? 1,002, right? So you treat it straight to bank. All right. Corresponding entry, it is a cash sales. So go to your sales account and put 1,002 there. All right. So another cash sales. So be putting the date. The first one was what? There was a cash sale before. We didn't put the date. 12. This one is what? 27. So another cash sales. And how much is that? 1,002. All right. Double entry complete. Credit purchases from Judith. So we now have another credit purchase from Judith again. Credit purchase from Judith again. So credit purchase, Judith, on a different date. Which date is that? 28. So Judith, another credit purchase. How much is that? 1,005. So if there is no other entry, the next entry is paid wages by check. So if there is no other entry, we have 2,700. Transfer to where? Purchases account in the general ledger. So when you go to your purchases account, you are going to record credit purchases of 2,700. So where is that? Where is our purchases account? Purchases account. Purchases account. But in the purchases ledger, we must record another one, right? So that will be purchases of how much? Credit purchases of 1,005, right? But in our purchases account, where can we find it? Where did we do it? Purchases account. Yes, the purchases account. Which one is this? Was it a cash purchase we did? I'm sure this is a cash purchase somewhere. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. So now in the purchases account, which is an expense account, all right, it has a debit balance. So we will do credit purchase, the summation of the credit purchase, so 2,700. So you could have done it one by one, but the best way you can bucket. All right. So I think we are done. We now need to go to what do we call it? The cash book and do the last one. Paid wages by check. So let's do that. Wages 31st by check, and the value is 90. So that is that. So when you go to your wages account in the general ledger, we should have one. You have another one, 31st, bank, 90. We are done. So let's close all the account. Balancing of an account here is 390. So we have some form of balance carried down of 90, 390, 390. And you know that by that means that balance brought down is 390. The same thing, balance of the account, discount allowed was just 1. So you balance it off. Because we are going to do a trial balance. The question didn't ask us to do that, but I'm going to do that for your understanding. So we have 240. So let me go straight to do a trial balance so that if the trial balance should balance, okay? It should balance, because if it doesn't balance, it means everything we have done is wrong. So there is a debit, there is a credit. So we have a trial balance. I can even use the same information to do a P&L and a balance sheet when I finish preparing the trial balance, and it will balance, okay? All right, but that one I will wait till we are done with depreciations and adjustments, then we will do that. All right, so you can just drop in the items as you balance it off. We did wages, right? We balanced off wages, and it had a debit balance, right? So when you look at it, wages 390 debit. What else did we close right now? Discount allowed. So you can just close it out. Discount allowed is 240, right? 240. Close it out. What account is left to be closed? We have rent. So rent to balance carried down is 1,002, which means balance brought down for the next period is 1,002. So that one to rent debit 1,002. All right. What else do we have? What account do we have left to balance? Sales account. All right. So what is the total sales carried down? What is the total sales? I have 1,005 plus 1,002 plus 3,600, 6,300. Balance brought down 6,300, 6,300 here. This is a credit balance. So I'll go sales 6,300. That's it. Which account is here? I have a discount received account here. So 250 plus 180, that is 430. So balance carried down at the end of the year is 430. Balance brought down 430. Okay. So it means discount received, credit, right? 430. Okay. Then what account is here? Purchases account. 3,000, right? So balance carried down 3,000. Balance brought down 3,000. So purchases 3,000. All right. What account do we have again? This thing is cleared. This side is cleared. All these sides are cleared. What else do we have? This one is gone. One is gone. So we have debtors. So the debtors, this side and this side, which is bigger, you have 2,400 here. So it means balance carried down of how much? 2,400. All right, so 2,400 minus 1,800, that is 600. Is that not it? So balance carried down 600. This guy, nothing happened to it, so the balance is still the same. Okay, balance carried down is 1,200. Brought down again for the following month will be the 1,200. So because you write brought down, you can just leave this figure. That's it. Well, so when we go to the trial balance, we have Mensah and who? Mensah and Akosua. So let's come here. Debtors. Sorry, debtors. Forget the apostrophe. We have Mensah and Akosua. Akosua is the one whose 1,002 didn't change, right? But Mensah, the balance was what? Was it 600? Yeah, 600. So we will use 600. Yes, what is left undone? Do we have the purchases people? All right, so this one too, let's balance these ones. So here, I think this side balances of itself, 900, 900. So this account, we won't have anything to do again. And what about this side? I think the balance is the last purchase, which balance carried down will be the 1,001, 1,005, sorry. So the closing balance brought down here will be 1,005. So when you total, what would that be? So we have 2,500 plus 1,005. That makes it 4,000, right? So the total here is 4,000. 4,000. So we have due date, whose balance will come into our books to be 1,005. This carried down or brought down. So creditor, due date. 1,005. All right. It is because of the last thing she did, we didn't pay. Okay. So what else is left? Because if you check this account, we have utilized these balances. Don't forget, at the end of the day, the asset account will still be there. So you need to open equipment account, furniture account. All right, we've done for the debtors. So if you open equipment account and furniture account, their opening balances will still be there. And at the end of the year 2015, they are still there. So you can put in the equipment, which is 12,000. Furniture, which is 7,200. The capital of the company that you found is still there. How much was that capital we found from our opening journal? 25,200. So it is still there for the company. 25,200. So that is there. Because you should have opened an account for, let's say, equipment. You put the figure there, 12,000, and you balance it off, you bring it here. So basically, that is that for all the items. But good news is that for Akosua, we did it in Akosia's account. Mensah, we did this. Stock in trade is there. It's also an asset. It is still there. So stock in trade, stock. We didn't do anything to the stock. So that one too will still be 5,400. It is still there. Bank overdraft. Don't forget, we did it in the cash book. Creditors, we have done Judith and Kofi. Cash is also in the cash book. So that is that. So let's go and close. Which account is left to be closed? I think we are done. Left with only the cash book. Is that not it? Everything is done. So let's just go and balance the cash book and bring the figure into our trial balance and find out if nothing was omitted there. So here, you have to find out which side is bigger. You have learned balancing of an account, haven't we? All right. So that is what we need to do now. So for example, as for these ones, there's nothing like balances. So you can just even leave it like that because their balance is the same. So let me let the line come down small to make the work easier. Let me take this one too out. So as for this side, you just total them. Okay, there's nothing like balance brought down or anything. So 250 plus 180. The total is what you did in their individual account. So you remember discount allowed. So you could have just waited and post the 430. This one too is 240. That's all. Nothing left. All right. Then we come to the cash book. The cash side, this side and this side. Where do you think the higher value will be? Is this side, right? So the higher value, this is will be 3,900. Is that not it? So here should be 3,900. But if you check, it is 3,900 minus 900 minus 300, which means the value I need to let this side balance. There will be a balance carried down here as at 31st of 2,700. So balance brought down for February will be 2,700. So quickly, I know that my cash, if I go to my trial balance, my cash here, I have a balance of 2,700 at the debit side. So that is that. Now, what about bank? Let's go and see the bank side. So now when we come to the bank side of the cash book, which side do you think has the highest figure? If you check, you realize that it looks as if this side has the higher figure. So you have 3,000 plus 1,250, 1,002, sorry, plus 300 plus 2,250 plus 720 plus 90. That is like 75. Write it somewhere. We will just see 7560. Let's add this side. 1,800 plus 3,360 plus 900 plus 1,002. That is 7,260. So here is the bigger one. So 7,560 is the bigger one, which means that the balance carried down will be here. And when you, so it's minus 7,560, it is 300. So that is it, 300. So making this size 7,560. Then the balance brought down, it means there is still an overdraft of 300. So when I go to my trial balance, instead of writing bank, I have now known that it is an overdraft. So, or I can just keep the bank, but still record it at the credit side, 300. So this is it. All right. So now this thing must balance. It must balance. If it doesn't balance, then it means we have omitted one or two things. So let's find out. So if I add, let me see, credit side, I have 6,300 plus 430 plus 1,005. Let's go up, plus 2,250, 25,200 plus 300. I'll write the figure somewhere. It is 33,730. So basically that is that. So now let me come here and check this side out. I already see the 30 here because I see 90/40. That is the 30 side of it. So let's see, 390 plus 240 plus 1,200. That is this. Plus 3,000 plus 600 plus 1,002 plus 12,000 plus 7,200 plus 5,400 plus 2,700. When I add it up, I also get 33,930. Is that what I have here before? That means that there will be a difference of 200. Something ignored. Yeah, so let me find out again. So what was the capital balance? Let's go and see. I have to repunch it again. That's the annoying thing of doing the accounting. So where is the general ledger we did? It's 25,200. So that is that. So is any 200 missing? So I have to punch it again. That's the mean. Okay. So I have to repunch everything again. I hope I have recorded everything, because if everything is not recorded, it can cause problem. So yeah, I think everything has been posted. I will check again. So let's do a check, another check. So this side is 390. This is 240. There's 1,002. Purchases. How much do we have in our purchases balancing? Exactly 3,000. So I have a 3,000. Then we have 600, right? Then we have 1,002. Then another 12,000. Where did the 12,000 come from? Is the equipment. This is it. Then 7,200. I have it. Then 5,400 stock, right? Where was it? Then the last one is the cash part, what we did, which is 2,700. So 2,700 equal to, that is 33,930. Then let me come back to this side again and punch them again. So I have down here 300 plus 2,520, 200. Then Judith, the last end was 1,005. Then this one's 430, then 63. Yes, so this is, no, there's still a 200. So let me run it over again. Let's check again. Let's investigate. I think we might have done a problem, because this one being 3,730, there's a 200 somewhere with that. So let's investigate. So let's start with the sales day book. Let me see. No, this thing is 2,600. Oh my goodness. So let's correct this. So it means the total here should be 2,600. So that is alone is 100. So it means when we go to the purchases, we need to, it is actually 2,600. What's our purchases? So this side is actually 2,000. It's interesting. So guys, you see, we can make such mistakes as well. So be careful. 2,600, meaning that this side should be, that should be 2,900. Interesting. That means it will affect not only this, you have to investigate all further. So this is 2,900. So it means the purchases account should have 2,900. Where is that? Where are you? Purchases. So this side has been reduced by 100. So still there is 100 you need to investigate. So let's go to the Judith, because this thing is affecting Judith. Let's go to Judith. Where are you, Judith? This is the sales account. This is the purchases account. All right, Judith. So 1,005 plus 1,001 plus 1,005. That's 4,100. Yeah, so there will be 100 there. All right. So at what point did they pay this one in full? Because they said Judith paid is, we paid Judith in full, paid everything in full, less 10%. So as at this point, this thing is actually 2,600, but what we did here is 2,500. So it means even our cash book could be wrong. So we have 2,600. That is as at the time he was making payment. So that is the balance in the sales day book. So if it is how much? 10% trade discount. The discount should be 260, right? So wow, that's a lot to do. So it means this side should be 260. So 2,600 minus 260. That should be 2340. That's a lot to do. One mistake. 2340. Making this side 4,100. So 4,100. And so therefore, I think as for the balance is the same, it's 1,005. So hallelujah. So it doesn't really affect the balance. So here is 4,100 because this one will cancel this. Then the 1,005 will stand. So the 1,005 is okay. However, our discount should change to 260. So the discount received, it should be 260, and here should be 2340. Wow. All right. All right. So where is that one? Yeah, these are the two. So on the 18th, it is Judith, and the discount should be 260, and this side should be 2340. So guys, you can see, which means our balances will have a problem. So 260 plus the 180 should be 440. That's 10. Difference of 10. So 440, which means that the discount received should be 440. So the account that we opened for discount received, where is that? Is discount allowed? Wages. Where is discount received? Yeah. So this side is meant to be 260, making it 440. It's very interesting. That's the difference between doing this thing in class. One student would probably prompt you. All right. So that is that. 440. 440. Okay. So which means discount received in the trial balance should be 440. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? All right. This is it. 440. That means that we still have to correct our bank and cash figure. So let's do the correct thing. I think after that, we should have it being balanced. Okay. So the bank part of everything we are doing will be 3,000 plus 1,200 plus 300 plus 2,340 plus 720 plus 90. That is rather the other way around. So the 100 has popped up, right? So I have it like 7650 rather. So 7650. 7650. Then this balance should also change then. 1,800 plus 3,360 plus 900 plus 1,200. That's 7,260 minus 7,650. That is 390. So instead of having 300, it is now 390. So that makes it correct. All right. So now so it means this side is 390. So when we go to our cash book, the overdraft should be 390. So it balances it because the 10 is coming from the discount change that we did from 440 to so that makes it here to be 390. So now let's do the totals again. This is interesting. All right. So the 390 plus 25,200 plus 1,500 plus 440 plus 6,300. Yeah, that's it. So we have 33,830. 33,830. Yeah, so let's now total this side. I think it should balance now. cash is 2,700 plus 5,400 plus 7,200 plus 12,000 plus 1,002 plus 600 plus 2,900 plus plus 1,002 first plus 240 plus 390. Exactly. It balances now. So if you don't do the trial balance, when you get it wrong, you won't even see it. 33,830. So guys, that is that. All right. It means we have done a good job. So you see, one mistake I did affected something. So this is how you do day books journal or day books of journal to the ledgers, then to the trial balance. I can as well pick this to prepare my P&L and balance sheet. If I want to do that quickly, and it is something you'll be doing very soon, using a trial balance to prepare, I have sales. How much is the sales? 6,300. I less cost of sales. Okay. What is cost of sales? Opening stock. What was my opening stock? Stock in trade. Where is it? Stock in trade. Stock in trade. Stock in trade. 5,400. Add purchases. Where is my purchases? Yeah. 2,900. This is something you will do later. All right. So don't worry. So this is it. All right. So you add it up, then you less closing stock. You see, the stock that was there, you did some sales and purchases. So you realize that you sold goods, you purchased goods. So you bring it together and you put it there. Then you continue, you less your expenses and things. Since I don't want to bore you. We will do those ones as we learn depreciation and do our final adjustment and do final preparation of P&L. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will want to end it here and see you in class. Bye-bye.